guess a recent article in Politico claims that J.D. Vance is gaining traction with MAGA by becoming a social media provocateur. And political commentator and TikTok star Jack Schlossberg thinks Democrats need to follow his lead. Oh. Take a look.
I think that the internet is a place where it's difficult to break through. And it's difficult to break through, especially if you're not saying something that's controversial or at least somehow unexpected. And I think that I see that Democrats play that game not as well as we could. That's kind of the game that the other side's been playing really well, which is flipping people out and getting a reaction is almost half the battle.
So I guess the question is that what we need to do?
Lee hits on something important. So that, if you follow Jack Schlossberg, is the most, whatever the opposite of unhinged is, it's the most hinged he ever seems. Mm-hmm. His social media, I remember when I first stumbled on it, I was like, I can't tell if this guy's being serious or if he's trying to just be a provocateur. And it's the latter, but with an intention, because then he talks about causes, and you can't look away. And he had a pretty prime speaking slot at the DNC, but I guarantee he has more viewers, fans, followers from TikTok and Instagram where he says some more provocative things. Like, that's how you're reaching especially younger people, not just the more traditional, like putting out a press release or speaking at an event.
Isn't it interesting how that Kennedy charisma follows them?
Yeah.
Except
Each
for RFK.
generation.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he's Robert Kennedy. This is JFK.
Oh, yes.
Had the charisma.
True.
Robert didn't have it the same way.
Oh, okay.
No. Am I right?
As
John Kennedy. John Kennedy.
Well, because he was
Jr.
a whole
the
other
hair, the way he
thing.
talked.
It was an anomaly because he was the youngest president, and for our time, he was our guy, you know, and there will always be that. And yeah, you know, if being a provocateur gets to people, I'm sure that's a great way to be. But a lot of people don't want to have to do that in order to get the attention. I think most people would rather say, here, this is what's going on, what can we do about it? Rather than make you crazy and then do all, you know, but that's like time. That's like TikTok, y'all.
But this guy mocks cat ladies. What's so provocative about that?
No, but I would say that the difference between a Jack and a JD, though, is JD might be telling us the truth. Like, he says things that veer into exactly what they want to do. You know, he talks about, will the courts be able to hold Donald Trump accountable? That's not even veering into that sensational. It's like, you're probably telling us exactly what's going to happen. But Jack will say things like that we talked about here on the show, who's hotter than his grandma or whatever. Like, and you're kind of laughing, and then he drops some nuggets of truth. J.D. Vance is literally like an arm piece for Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is not only provocative, he goes ahead and legislates it.
Yeah, but I don't know that I don't know that that's the way I want to communicate. I'm sure a lot of people, I'm sure it's great. And I, you know, I like that young people are paying attention, but I want them to pay attention to the reality of the reality. So I don't know how to fool around with it. You know what I mean? I don't have the provocateur.
There's so many different places to be provocative now that you have to really.
But that's the thing. You know, for me at least, if you think about the numbers, let's say people that are on X. Before Elon Musk made it a pure dumpster fire.
It was already a dumpster fire. He just bought it.
He made it much worse. But there were, you know, only 20% of Americans were on Twitter, and 80% of those 20% were the loudest. So it's sort of an echo chamber the way it is now. But the other thing I'll say is, since Elon took over, X lost about 2.7 million active users in this country, and Blue Sky gained nearly 2.5 million. And in November, Blue Sky added nearly 9 million. So there are a lot of places to go where you don't have to be this provocateur. And the thing about social media is you now don't have proper sourcing. So the information that you're getting, you can't really check it. So I don't know that the Democrats should embrace that kind of
I think there's a difference, though,
philosophy.
Because I think there's a difference between, like, I've never liked the name calling. I've not liked the, like, Marjorie Taylor Greene goes low, so everyone has to go equally low. It's more of knowing where viewers are. Like, 167 million Americans are on TikTok. You can't ignore that audience. I'm not on it.
Risen by 400%.
Right, but you control how you talk, and I think sometimes having a little edge, knowing what, like, the cultural discourse is without being mean, carries more impact than just being like, the environmental stats are thus. Like, you have to grab.
It seems to me that you need a candidate who's like Trump on the left, somebody who speaks the vernacular. He comes out there and he might as well say, oh, I got a hemorrhoid today, and people like it. because it's real.
Well,
they need
Is
somebody
that the state
like
of
that.
this country, you
But
think?
the other thing
Yes.
is that
It is.
and you know, not to media bash, but you know, the people keep saying, "Well, why aren't we hearing from people?" It's not that we're not hearing from Democrats; they're out there. Yeah. Jasmine Crockett's out there. AOC is out there.
Yeah.
People are out. Chuck Schumer, we see Chuck Schumer. You're not getting the coverage because to them they're boring. They're not
Hakeem
as
is out
much
there.
I
of
wanted to talk about
you know,
Chuck Schumer the other day.
But I guess what I'm saying is I'm saying to people are doing what they can do. They have a very slim minority. What am I saying?
Minority, yeah.
Minority, and they're doing what they can, and they're as vocal as they can be. But if you're not getting the information,
And
if you're not
sourcing
hearing it, and we're not, and you're not getting it the way you used to get all kinds of information, it's hard to break through.
Remember when
you know?
Trump used to call in constantly?
Yeah.
He was on this show. Barbara interviewed him. He'd call in on
Morning Joe.
Joe all the time. And that is what they should be doing. Every
Like
time
ambushing the
they should
airwaves.
be ambushing the airways. The Democrats, get off your butts and start doing it.
Who would you like to do that? Because I will say
I like Buttigieg, too.
Buttigieg and
Peter's
Hakeem.
always out there.
And I love Crockett.
And-
Great. Love
Yes,
Crockett.
they're all. Listen, I'm telling you, they're out there. They're out there doing it, and we're not getting it. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I
mean,
see
they
it.
could call into
no,
this show
Joanne.
right now.
No,
Call
we
in.
can.